Hi, everyone. It's Joe LaGiglia with the Mortgage Message Show. And on today's episode, I am so excited to have my dear friend, Joanna Diaz of CreditRX. What's up, Miss Joanna?
I'm doing good. I'm jealous because I remember the last time we got together in the show.
I know, and I'm so excited. And that's such the reason why I chased you down. I know you're so busy. We're so excited. My audience is so excited to have someone like you on the show. We've been talking about so many things related to the mortgage real estate industry. And I was thinking to myself on that note, man, it's been a while since we talked about credit. And when I think about credit, I immediately think of Miss Joanna Diaz and her animal shelter that she's having. It's a great way
Of
to
course,
start the show. It's a great way to start the show.
working remotely from my office with my dog.
Yes, and so many people can relate. So many people can relate to the remote work stuff. So that's cool. We're going to leave that in the show. I like it. But we're here today, as always, to serve our audience with some really relative content that can help them, help their networks, help their friends and family. And again, when I think of credit, I think of the top expert in the field, Miss Joanna Diaz of CreditRX. And Joanna, I think just to start the show, I'd love for you to give everybody who's watching, my mortgage message audience, a little bit of a background about you, about CreditRX, and the awesome, awesome story behind it.
Did you just say a little bit? And
You and I don't know how to do little bits, so go ahead and do your thing.
Okay, hold on. Let me time myself. Okay, well, I'm Joanna Diaz. I am the owner of CreditRX. I always say it's an all-around credit consulting company because we don't just focus on credit cleaning. We focus on establishing, settling, if you have problems with your student loans, if you have a judgment, a tax lien. So we do much more than just credit cleaning. And one of the reasons why our slogan is from bad credit to home ownership is because that's pretty much our goal to be achieved. So we're gonna make 6 years in January, and we quadruple our business in 2020 by the grace of God.
Amen.
We have a full 10 people team, bilingual, and all we do, we live, breathe, we do everything that has to do with credit. So that's us. That's what
So
we do.
exciting, so exciting, and it's been so fun. We've certainly known each other almost all of those 6 years, and it's been great to see your journey. It's been great to see the growth, and it's obviously been the most fulfilling to have the payoff on the back end of shared clientele that have been able to receive your services and have really gone on to reach their dreams. And we talk about that part so much, but I want to kind of start at the beginning and really this 2020 has been something for all of us. And, thinking about getting into the fourth quarter of this year, but of course, forecasting ahead for 2021, I'm of the impression that 2021, as great as this year has been as far as the real estate sector goes, and I say all the time that the economy really has been getting lifted up by this real estate industry, which you and I are a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at 2021, I have to tell you, I believe it is going to be the greatest year of real estate that we've ever known in this country for so many different reasons. With that being said, I really want to talk to the audience member that whether they're a first time home buyer who is tired of making their landlord rich, whether they have watched their friends and family move this year and have finally decided, okay, we're going to get ready to move in 2021, or whether it's the huge sector of the baby boomers that are finally in a position equity wise to be able to downsize to that last property, anywhere between that gamut. What I want to start the interview off by saying is someone today who knows that they're moving in 2021 or wants to move in the spring of 2021, lists their home for sale and buy new. What are some of the top things they should be thinking about today, 3 to 6 to 9 months ahead of time, as it relates to their credit?
That's a wonderful question, and I actually can relate to that because I myself and our company have been receiving messages from people that we have actually tried to make them clients 2 3 years ago, right? And originally we got their information back in 2 3 years ago, even sometimes even 4 or 5 years ago. And then all of a sudden 2020 hits, people start thinking a little bit different. They see their friends becoming home buyers, investors, and all kinds of things. And now they're thinking, oh, I guess my credit is important, right? So I think that there are certain things that you have to think about. And as I was sharing with you, some of the posts that we do on social media is literally, if you start fixing your, and I'm going to sound like one of those cliche commercials, but it's true. Like if you start your credit today or tomorrow or the next day, you have an 80% chance of becoming a homeowner in 3 months.
That's
Like
incredible.
I remember back in the days, like we still have some people coming into our office saying, like, is it gonna take like 2 years? And I'm like, mm-mm. It's gonna take 3 to 4 months. If it's too damaged, maybe six. Um, but credit repair should not go over 6, 8 months. When we're talking about 8 months, we're talking about people that have had it rough, right? Bankruptcies, foreclosure, short sales, judgments, all kinds of heavy files are going to take a little bit longer. But when we're talking about people that only have some collections, maybe lack of credit. And so the reason why I'm giving you all these scenarios is because the number one thing to do before you start getting prepared for 2021, spring of 2021, to become a homeowner, is you need to understand your credit. If you don't understand it, how do you know if it's good or bad? How do you know? Joe, you remember this? Before the pandemic, we were approving people at a 580. Some banks were approving people at a 520, which, by the way, I know you and I don't really like it, but some people have a sense of urgency and they got to buy right away. But at
Absolutely.
the same time, right now, we're looking at banks only going from 620, 640, 687, 720. We see clients coming in and saying, how do I get to a 720 because my bank will not take me at a 640,
Mm,
right? And
absolutely.
so it's kind of like, okay, understand your credit, understand credit, not just yours, but credit as a whole. What do I have to do in order for me to have a better credit score, right? Do I have to clean up my collections? Do I have to pay them off? Do I have to call them to pay them and pay to delete? Do I have to pay charge-offs? Should I make a monthly payment for a charge-off account? Should I utilize my credit cards to the fullest? Should I or utilize them at 20%? Should I get more credit cards? Should I cancel? So it's like people have all these questions and myths and things that they think that they could do, but at the end of the day, they might make the credit even worse. So the
Mm.
first point is understanding credit as a whole.
I
That's
love
the
it.
number one.
I love it, and I think it's such a great starting point because as you shared so eloquently, without understanding it, it's really going to be difficult to be able to follow through with keeping it up once you get it up.
Mm-hmm.
And you, what I love about Credit RX and what I love about your approach with your clients is that you take that approach from Jump Street, from the start, to say we are going to educate you so that we're not just going to give you a fish, we're going to teach you how to fish. And I love it because we've seen it play out. Now, as we enter this holiday season, we know that there's a ton of activity that could happen with the credit. Um, a question that I get all the time, and I guess it relates to the holiday season and people potentially using their credit during the holiday season, as it relates to balances on credit cards. Can you speak specifically to how that may affect a credit score?
So I want you, okay, this is a great topic because this is something that I actually apply to myself, to my own personal financial life. And by the way, you already know the Credit RX started because of our own credit situation. So this is the fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree, right? So
Absolutely.
for us, like my husband and myself, I had a little misconnection there. So for myself, for my husband and myself, we went through that, right? Back in 2014, that's when we bought our first three flat, which we still have, and it's a money revenue maker, and it's amazing. But in 2014, we had it bad. Our credits were not in good standing, and like any other consumer, I didn't know how to go about it. I started calling everybody and their mother, paying them everything when there were things that were over the statute of limitations. People don't understand that, right? And
Hmm.
so I myself went through that. The owner of a credit consulting company went through that back in 2014. And of course, and this is all God, right? I learned from my mistakes. I saw an opportunity for my people and I said, let's do it, right? And then we opened up the business in 2015. But one of the things that people don't understand is that you can actually utilize your credit cards however you want to. You can utilize your credit cards at leaving a little like $1, $5 after after the due date. You can pay them off completely. You can max them out completely. You could do whatever you want with your credit cards as long as you know and you have a hold of your finances that you will be able to make a payment at the end of the month, right?
Mm,
Now, here's the thing. If I know, okay, if I know that in April of 2021, I want to purchase a property, okay, I want to make sure that by February, right, all my credit cards are below 20%.
mm,
Okay. So if you think like that, you can utilize your credit. So like I give you an example. Last year I wanted to remodel my kitchen myself, right? This is a personal example. I wanted to remodel my kitchen. So what I did is I went and got me a Home Depot credit card. They gave me, I think it was $7,000 or something like that. I maxed it out. Okay. I went at it and I said, I want all my full kitchen. Why? Because they gave me 0% for 24 months. And so I swiped the sucker and I put $7,000 in it. And I said 7,000 divided by 24. I don't know what it was. Let's just say $300, right?
right, right.
So let's say $300. So what I did is I said, okay, well, in 24 months at a 0%, I'm going to be paying $300 a month and that's it. But again, my credit score took a hit.
Mm,
My credit score was not 720, 740 anymore because I had that Home Depot credit card was maxed out. But because I didn't want to purchase anything in that particular time, I can afford to do that.
I love it.
You get me?
I
And
love it.
so then, of course, we opened up the call center here in Puerto Rico, and then we wanted to purchase a property here in Puerto Rico. And so, of course, I have my Home Depot credit card maxed out. I do have funds though. I have the funds, right? But I'm gonna take advantage of the 0% for 24 months. And so what happens was that before I applied for a loan to purchase property here or in the States, I know that I'm going to have myself at least 2 cycles, time of 2 cycles to get my balances together. So I went 2 months prior to applying for a mortgage and I paid everything down to 20% of below. You see? So you make your credit work for yourself. You utilize it when you need it and when you are about to let's say what you just mentioned, right? April 2021. By February, you got to get those things together. You got to have everything under 20%. All of your cards have to be lower. And then you applied and then you purchase the house. And if you're not thinking about doing anything else with your credit, then you can utilize your credit cards however you want.
So what I love about that real world example, and I so appreciate the background and how you brought it back to your own personal experience, because I think the audience is really going to resonate with that. What I love about that real world example is that it comes back to your initial statement, which is if you understand your credit, you can have it work for you. I think that's so prevalent as far as preparing for not just the crop of new home buyers that are coming into 2021, which is going to be the largest ever, but with all your credit decisions. And I think what really my takeaway on that is that knowing when there's going to be a credit event, are you prepared 30, 60, 90 days prior to that to make sure that the snapshot in that moment is going to represent you the best way possible? I absolutely love that example. Joanna, as we look at the future of 2021 and we realize the market is going to be what the market is, it's going to be low inventory again. It's going to be very demanding for home buyers to get the best possible offer. Speak to, if you can, how having the different type of credit availability relates to how that's going to work for pre-approval. In other words, when we talked a little bit about credit scores, how they were pre-pandemic. Talk about, in your opinion, the temperature of how important is your credit score going to be moving out of this pandemic? Is it going to be more or less important? I know I'm throwing you a softball here.
Joe, I think that our credit scores and our credit scenarios should have always been at the forefront of anything. And I think that in our industry, and I'm gonna add myself on that, in our industry, we get really caught up with just making people buy, right? At whatever cost. Like, it doesn't matter if you have this or if you have that. It doesn't matter if you don't have emergency savings. If you want to buy, you can become a homeowner. You can become a homeowner. And yes, I get that. And trust me, I'm in a business where, I mean, this is credit repair, right? I see the bad that happens when people buy not necessarily prepared, right? And so I think that the credit is going to be essential. I mean, credit was essential from before, but more than ever, it will be essential now because of the fact that the banks are now wanting you to be a little bit more qualifiable than before, right? And so, in other words, if you thought that you were going to be able to just, get away with everything at a 600, you might have to think twice. You might have to do a little bit of arranging so you can get at a 640, 680. But again, I always say, how sweet would it be for you to get a conventional loan at a 720? Come on now. You know what I'm
and
saying?
and yep. And that's
Being a
and to that point, and thank you for going there, because that's exactly where I was going as well, which is credit has always been important. We've known that because we're connected to the industry. People find that out when they do go to buy a house, just how important it is. And to your point, I think more and more, because of what this pandemic has done, it's bringing even more importance on having your credit in a position that doesn't hinder you from the direction you want to take different credit events. Now, here's the flip side, and you kind of just touched on it. Unfortunately, good things happen. I'm sorry, bad things happen to good people.
yes.
And you and I both have our own personal experiences with that. And I think it's a mission of ours. And I think why birds of a feather flock together. We do this for the heart reason. We love helping people. We love serving. We love the integrity side of this. And watching someone go through the journey and get out the other end like we have, it's really fulfilling. A lot of bad things have happened to good people in 2020. Joanna, as people are in a position to hopefully take a direct look at the good, the bad, the ugly, and where they're at this year, if something did happen, whether it be job loss, whether it be getting behind on bills, whether it be, unfortunately, potentially taking a forbearance agreement and maybe having something happen after that forbearance agreement. My question, Joanna, directly is, let's speak to that side of this thing. If someone's in a position where they're like, you know what, I'm not in a position to buy in 2021, and I don't know if I'll ever be in a position to buy again. Speak to that audience member right now as far as what steps can they take to get them back on track.
So it's funny because when we were talking before the recording, I actually put over here, look at the good and bad. So that's good.
Always on the same
Um,
page.
yes. So here's the thing. So I think that anxiety and depression and all these feelings that people are feeling lately, sometimes we get anxious of the things that we cannot control, right? And so if you couldn't control the fact that you lost your job, or they cut your hours, that you made a late payment and your credit was flawless in the 800s and now it's at the 500s, okay, so what? Right? You got to give yourself a jump start. So, like, let's say a lot of people are going back to work, thankfully, right? And so now, yes, their credit took a big hit. That's okay. Listen, if you start making your payments again, it will only take you 6 months to recover. Okay. Don't don't stay in that, oh my goodness, I had an 800, now I have a 600. So what? There's nothing else you can do about it. If you do different things to offset the things that were bad with your credit, like for example, utilizing your cards wisely, right? So below 25%. Yes, you probably use them. Yes, you lost your job, or you have less hours now, or your wife or your husband had to stay home with the kids for e-learning. So slowly but surely you'll get out of it. And the thing is, if you know your credit, and if you understand what to do in order for your credit score to move up again, you will know how to offset the drops of a late payment, of a charge of account. If you are right now, if you had, okay, so it's been 8 months, 6 months, I don't even know, of this pandemic thing.
Yeah, you're about right.
Um, so if you stop paying your credit cards, right? If you stop paying your credit cards, because again, and I don't want to put point fingers, right? But maybe sometimes we're reactive, we're not proactive, right? So we're reactively just stop paying the cards. It went 3 6 months, it went into a charge off status, right? So it's already in a charge off status. That account is not going to be able to get cleaned up with credit repair. Okay. And I'm a credit consulting company. And if I wanted to get your money, I will tell you, yes, baby girl, baby boy, I will get it off. And it's not true,
Right.
because it's a recent charge of account. So what you need to do is you need to cut back at work, making a little bit more of money, saving a little bit on the side, just settle it. Settle the charge of accounts that you recently had. If you had some late payments, start utilizing your cards wisely so that you can gain some points again. And don't stay in that, oh my God, I used to be in the 800s. That creates anxiety. It
Yes.
does. And it's not necessary. You can't control it. It happened already. Now let's move on and find different ways to be able to get out of that.
Well, it's a great message. It's a great message to the masses because, to your point, there's enough depression and anxiety going around. The last thing you need is to be carrying the weight of the credit. And I think the reason why I'm certainly highlighting and showcasing Joanna Diaz of CreditRX is because utilize the professionals that can take the emotional side out of this and be able to, from a business perspective, work with you to get you where you want to be. It's a message of hope. It's a message of still being able to accomplish your dreams despite having roadblocks that come along the way. And Joanna, to that point, anyone who's watching, because I know that what you just shared obviously has unlocked something for someone out there. If someone is in a position to say, okay, enough is enough, either I want to just make sure my stuff is in the best possible way it can be, getting ready for 2021 and any credit events that may follow, or if the person that we just spoke to that said, I've really been ignoring it, I've really not been bringing any time or energy and effort to it, I've been staying in the anxiety state of mind and don't want to look at it, I'm finally ready to help myself and have Joanna Diaz and her team help me. Joanna, what's the best way someone can connect with you?
Okay, so obviously social media, right? If you look us up on Facebook or Instagram, Credit RX 2015, that's when we opened our doors. So Credit RX 2015. If you want to go to the website, credit-rx.com. And if you want to call our office, 773-647-1112.
Fantastic, Joanna. It is always a pleasure. And I always learn something new when I talk to you about credit. So thank you. Even a 22-year-old veteran of the mortgage industry can learn something new from Joanna Diaz. So
Are you
excited.
are you gonna be remodeling your kitchen
No remodeling anytime soon. No remodel. Well, I don't know. I got to check with the wife. Maybe. Who knows?
with the
But
boss?
with the boss, yeah. But Joanna, it is always a pleasure. Thank you to you and your team for serving so many clients and just really seeing it through each and every single time. Can't be more thankful. And thank you for our audience for tuning in today. We really hope this message served you well, and we hope you share it with your friends, family, and network to be able to serve them as well. My name is Joe LaGiglia. My guest was Joanna Diaz of CreditRX. We'll see you next week, everybody. Take care.